Today's movie is The Elixir 2025. The heroes in this film might be ordinary people, but their minds are always working, smart and fast, and they know how to act correctly in difficult situations. This is, of course, a natural reaction when the world is turned upside down with zombies around them. Before we start, pray for the prophet and don't forget to subscribe. If you like the video, give it a nice like, and let's go. At first, the village sheikh is hosting a big feast in his courtyard to celebrate an annual occasion. Officer Ashan takes advantage of the opportunity as he passes by the kitchen during an inspection tour. He takes a ring out of his pocket to propose to his beloved Shaoli, but before he can speak, his police chief calls him and tells him they have just found a large quantity of illegal fireworks and that Ashan must go there immediately. Ashan has to put the ring back in his pocket, apologizes to Shaoli, and quickly leaves, abandoning the feast. As he walks away, a car enters the middle of the traffic, hits a parked overturned car by the roadside, and stops. The village sheikh runs to check on the injured people, angry, and asks the driver what happened. But when he opens the car door, he finds the man inside trembling and confused. Suddenly, the driver attacks him, pushes him hard, and knocks him down into the field, continuing to beat him in front of everyone. The villagers freeze in terror, wondering what is happening. To understand, we go back 5 hours earlier. A bankrupt pharmaceutical company had been conducting research for 3 months and finally managed to develop a new drug. Before obtaining official approval, the research director made 2 samples, one to show his boss and one to give to a major client. The pharmaceutical company owner was about 60 years old, but his wife was young and beautiful. He looked exhausted and tired when he took the new drug, swallowing it all at once without thinking. Suddenly, he hears noise outside. It was his daughter returning home with her family. His wife, Lena, hurried to welcome them, but his daughter, Lawsong, could not stand her young stepmother. After a while, the boss came out of the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and was shocked. All the wrinkles on his face and the white hair on his head had disappeared. He looked much younger, as if he had regained decades of youth. He happily ran to his young wife, excited, telling her that this was their company's new discovery, the youth drug. But his daughter Lawsong was sitting with her husband, planning how to sell the pharmaceutical company. They had even prepared a promotional video and were coordinating with her brother Kadan to split the money. However, the rich family's son was at home designing games and was not interested in any business matters. When the rejuvenated company owner entered the living room, everyone was shocked. Losong's husband thought his father-in-law had dyed his hair. The company owner did not respond or speak. On the contrary, he made a strange and surprising decision to stop selling the pharmaceutical company because the new drug they invented would change everything. Losong was furious. She had planned to take the money, divorce her husband, take her son, and start her own business. She hated this house and everything around it. Her husband went out every night to party and wander, and her young stepmother was his close friend from before. They could not stand each other, and the atmosphere suddenly turned so bad they could not control it. The company owner exploded with anger, his neck veins bulging, and he shouted at them all to be quiet. He began listing their mistakes one by one. Maybe from the anger, his face became uglier, and blood started dripping abnormally from his mouth. After a while, he collapsed and fainted. Losong's husband ran to him and was shocked when he discovered that his father-in-law's heart had stopped. Everyone was scared, quickly calling an ambulance. Suddenly, the next moment, the company owner woke up again. His face turned terrifyingly pale, and a frightening growling sound came from his throat. When the servant approached him, he attacked with all his strength without thinking. The bearded driver ran to help, but also fell victim to the insane company owner's attack. Although he was not cut, his face was covered with the company owner's blood that came out of his mouth. At that time, Kadan approached to stop his father but slipped and fell to the ground. The next moment, he was also about to fall under his father's attack. Afraid, he grabbed a bow that was lying nearby and without hesitation pulled the trigger. The arrow went straight into the company owner's head, and he immediately collapsed with no movement. The whole family was shocked. No one said a word. But Losong's husband had some sense and told the driver to go to the police station and get help. Now, the entire villa turned into chaos. Kadan was sitting in the car blaming himself, feeling responsible for his father's death. On the other side, the servant attacked by the company owner was still bleeding from his neck. They were all thinking about how to get him to the hospital. He himself stood up, and his behavior was exactly like the company owner. As soon as he saw any living human, he attacked. The servant tried to stop him, but also fell victim. When Losong saw all this, she understood how dangerous the situation was. She grabbed her son and ran. On the other side, Losong, who was sitting in the car, was comforting her brother when she suddenly saw something strange in the yard. The servant was brutally cutting a man. Losong approached to see, but as soon as she turned her face, She saw a terrifying face staring at her. Fortunately, Kadan quickly started the car and ran over the mad servant under the wheels. Losang was so scared she could not think and quickly ran back to the living room. But there, her son and husband had both disappeared. Bloodstains were everywhere on the floor. She called on the phone, but no one answered. Suddenly, an injured servant came out of the room. The two ran outside quickly to their parked car, but the servant they ran over with the car was not there. They were shocked, and suddenly they saw the servant crawling on the ground with half his body. Quickly, Kadan hit him hard and then left the place. It had become scary and haunted. They had no choice but to escape by any means. At the same time, the driver who was going to report to the police had the virus spreading on his arm. The infection spread through his body, and suddenly, while passing near the village sheik's house, he lost control of the car and crashed into the middle of the crowd. When the village sheik opened the car door, the driver inside had become a full zombie. He brutally tore the village sheik apart and then, crazed, attacked the people at the feast in the blink of an eye. The entire celebration turned into a disaster. Losang and the others were still trying to escape the attacks of the zombie servants. They were hiding around the car as if playing hide-and-seek, but just as they were about to pass the phone to Losang, it rang. Suddenly, the zombie servant attacked as soon as he heard the sound, attacking them with all his might. They all fought with all they had and barely managed to save the little boy. While the struggle was ongoing, heavy rain began to fall from the sky, and no one knew why. This zombie servant stood completely still in his place. Someone stopped him. They all took a deep breath and seized the opportunity to escape quickly. Lodi hurried. He grabbed the phone. The call was from his wife, Lu Song. As soon as she found out that her son was still alive, she felt very relieved. But it was difficult to pinpoint their exact location in the ruin that resembled a forest. That's why the two agreed to meet at the village sheik's house. But when Lodi and the others arrived there first, they saw that everyone who had been at the feast had turned into zombies. They quickly decided to change direction. But Aunt Huang, who was walking behind them, made a slight mistake, and a zombie emerged from the trees and bit her. Her scream attracted the zombies. Now escape became impossible. They managed to get inside the village sheik's house with difficulty. Fortunately, all the zombies stayed outside, and inside the rooms there was relative safety for the time being. Lodi cautiously closed the door and locked the traps. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was a call from his wife, Lu Song. She told him that she had also arrived near the village sheik's house, but the yard was full of zombies. Lu Song, worried sick about her son, told Lodi to honk the car horn so she could find the way and come to meet them. But they didn't know that these zombies were very sensitive to sound. As soon as the car horn honked, they went crazy. It was like a shark smelling blood, and zombies came running from all directions toward the sound. Kadan had no other choice but to start the car quickly and drive toward the village. The zombies chased them from behind, and any innocent people in their path were attacked. At that time, the pressure eased a bit on Lodi and the others hiding in the village sheik's house. They hurried out, and as soon as they reached the large yard, they saw their car parked there, the same car the driver had taken. But unfortunately, the front of the car was completely damaged and dented, making it unfit to drive. Lodi tried to call his wife, but suddenly he saw a zombie jumping out from the middle of the field. Everyone got scared and ran toward the village gate. While running, they saw a small wooden hut. Lena quickly took her grandson and hid inside the hut. When Lodi stayed behind to fend off the zombies from the hut, the two women looked out from the hut's door, holding their breath and waiting silently. After a while, Lodi, who was soaked in blood, entered the hut. He was able to fight off the zombies with difficulty, but had a deep bite mark on his arm. Maybe he felt his time was near. He sat on the ground and told his son, "If I'm not here, take care of your mother." After saying these words, he stood up, turned his face, and in moments he became a full zombie. Lena exerted all her strength to save her grandson. In the end, she used the door to push zombie Lodi and hit him with an iron rod. After great effort, the grandmother and her grandson barely survived that terrifying night. On the other side, Lu Song and Kadan fell into a new problem. Lu Song was about to go crazy from how much she wanted to see her son, so Kadan decided to take a round around the village and head to the village sheik's house. But he didn't notice a truck parked in front of him, and before he could change direction, their car flipped and fell on the side of the road. The truck driver was terrified and quickly got out to run and see. Fortunately, both Lu Song and Kadan were alive, but that slight delay brought them closer to greater danger. A whole army of zombies was chasing them from behind, and the poor villagers who had been sitting in the truck were just going to eat at the village sheik's feast. But unfortunately, they themselves became zombie victims. The truck driver stood shocked, watching everything he saw. But within moments, zombies attacked him too. When Lu Song saw all this, her face turned pale, and her hands started shaking with fear. but the police station's name was clearly visible not far away. At the same time, inside the police station, some officers were discussing a shipment of fireworks that had been confiscated. Suddenly, Kadan and his sister arrived there. As soon as they entered, they locked the door first, then, panting, said that there was a huge crowd of zombies outside. The police chief immediately ordered his colleagues to go out and check the situation and left Officer Ashen to protect Lu Sang and Kadan there. But when the police team arrived at the scene, they saw those zombies which were more dangerous than many humans. Many police officers were killed there, but the mustachioed police chief managed to fire several shots. Meanwhile, in the village hut, Lena and her grandson were suddenly scared when they heard footsteps coming from outside. But what reassured them was that the one who broke the door and entered was not a zombie. It was Xiaoli, the same girl who had managed to escape, alive from the village sheikh's feast. Actually, this hut was her house. As soon as she entered, she called her boyfriend Ashan. But before she could explain anything, Ashan ended the call quickly, scared. They all helped him get inside, and they closed the door with difficulty. They all managed to stop the zombie attack, but suddenly they saw that the police chief was injured and had a zombie bite mark on his arm. Lu Song guessed he would turn soon, but he ignored her words and called an ambulance immediately. The next moment, the injured police chief got up from the ground. Kadan quickly drew his pistol and fired, but the bullet didn't hit him directly in the head. He just fell to the ground but was still alive. No one could control themselves. He was about to attack Ashan, but the others held him back. Kadan and his sister approached, and with difficulty they managed to control him. Finally, they locked the injured police chief in an iron cage. But outside the police station, a large crowd of zombies had gathered at the parking lot. Kadan was the calmest one, and told Ashan to call quickly to request help. On the other hand, Lu Song was about to go crazy from the fear of losing her son. As soon as she found out her son was hiding in Xiaoli's house and still safe, tears fell. But when they told her that her husband had turned into a zombie, she just furrowed her brows. She was sad, but fear and responsibility were greater than that. After that, Kadan took the phone and explained to his nephew that under no circumstances should he leave the house until they arrived with help. Meanwhile, the zombie police chief locked in the cage kept screaming and shouting, and his terrifying voice attracted more zombies outside. Now Ashan closed the door tightly because the sounds of banging and scratching from outside were increasing. At the same time, the police station's radio device rang. A voice said that the rescue team, which was already far away, was about to arrive. Their faces all lit up with a bit of hope. Suddenly, they heard terrifying screams on the radio, then the connection was cut off forever. No one imagined that the rescue team itself was killed entirely before reaching inside the village. Ashan, Kadan, and Lu Sang felt a grip on their hearts. They went upstairs to the room and looked out the window. The police station was surrounded by thousands of zombies from all directions. Lu Sang quickly informed Lena of this bad news. And now she forgot all her quarrels with Lena. She said only one sentence: "If I'm not here, take care of my son." Meanwhile, Kadan and the others started thinking about any way to escape. Suddenly, they remembered that zombies were very sensitive to sounds, so an idea came to mind suddenly. The police had previously issued a large quantity of fireworks quickly and ignited a rocket-like firework. Indeed, all the zombies ran towards the sound. There were motorcycles parked nearby. The three entered the weapons room and fully armed themselves because Ashan loved shooting games, so he understood weapons well. Then the three took the fireworks, opened the living room door slowly, and as soon as Ashan threw a firework outside, the strong explosions and sparks attracted all the zombies towards them. The plan succeeded. Now they had a chance to escape. Then the three took their weapons and ran from the police station, but there were some zombies scattered blocking the way. Automatically, Ashan raised his gun and fired. The echo of the strong explosion attracted all the zombies that were scattered far away again. Now there was no escape route. Then the three hid behind riot shield. Ashan and Kadan fired with all their might, but their bullets quickly ran out, and the horde of zombies grew larger from all directions. At this moment of despair, suddenly there was lightning, and in the blink of an eye, heavy rain began to fall. With the first drops of rain, all the zombies suddenly stopped. It was as if someone froze their movement. They stood still, completely motionless. On the other side, Lena and those with her were scared and panicked from the loud explosion. In reality, it was the sound of Lodi, who had turned into a zombie, dragging an iron rod and banging it against the wall. The banging shook the whole house, and the zombies around were alerted by the sound. But then the heavy rain calmed everything down. Lena understood that this was the best chance to escape. She started the motorcycle with Xiaoli and the little boy. Suddenly, Lodi, now a zombie, broke the iron door. The three all screamed at once, poured gasoline to the limit, and managed to escape the wooden house. At the same time, Losang and her colleagues were still running, breaking their way through the zombie horde, but the rain, which came quickly, stopped just as quickly. As soon as the water stopped, Ashan and Kadan were trapped by zombies. They were wearing bulletproof jackets, so they shouted to Losang, telling her to start the car and run. The two shouted and made loud noises to attract the zombies' attention toward themselves. When Losang ran far away, the two had to run again inside the police station. Losang ran at full speed, reached her truck and got in, but suddenly she realized she didn't know how to drive. She tried several times, but the engine wouldn't start. At the same time, Lena and her team arrived there on their electric bikes from a distance. Losang saw them and quickly hit the car's horn to signal them that she was there. Now, about to meet again, the zombies were running toward the three, furious. At that moment, Losang quickly ignited fireworks at the end, which attracted the zombies away. After a long day of running, Losang finally met her son, but the mother and son didn't get to talk properly before another horde of zombies started gathering around them. They quickly hid inside a car cabin. Fortunately, Lena was not a novice driver. She quickly started the engine, stepped on the gas, and began driving the truck through the zombies. But when they were about to reach the police station's name sign, she suddenly discovered that the brakes stopped working. The truck drove straight into the police station, breaking the wall. Kadan, who was inside, was unlucky. His leg was trapped under the truck. Lena tried to reverse the car, but suddenly she saw a large number of zombies entering through the broken door. Ashan quickly grabbed his gun and started firing, but the zombies were endless. Fortunately, Lena knew the back door of the police station was still safe. She shouted to everyone and told them to get out quickly through the back door. Ashan, while fighting, started retreating with his girlfriend, but he forgot about the transformed police chief who was locked in the cage. Poor Shaoli's hand was cut off. Ashan's heart broke when he saw that and started firing continuously until the zombies brought him down too. But, as he was falling to the ground, there was a strange peace on his face. He calmly reached into his pocket and took out the ring he intended to give Shaoli. A faint smile appeared on his lips. Then he gently closed his eyes and died. On the other side, Rosas Kadan saw that all the zombies had entered inside. He shouted, "Run, sister!" But when he saw her, she didn't hesitate and lit fireworks because the truck parked beside him was leaking gasoline. Losang quickly took her son and escaped from the police station. As soon as the zombies gathered around Kadan, he threw the fireworks he had in his hand strongly. The bright light that shot into the sky split the darkness of the night, and the spread of fireworks swallowed all the zombies around him. Lena and the three with her managed to get out of the police station successfully. The motorcycles parked by the roadside also helped them, but Losang's face was full of fear and despair. Now she realized that the zombie had bitten her in the last battle's final moments. Losang said goodbye to her son as she left him. At the same time, many zombies ran out of the fire. She screamed loudly, "Run!" Then she ignited the fireworks in her hand. This plan succeeded this time, but it cost her life. The next morning, Lena finally managed to leave the village safely with her grandson. But they didn't know that at the same time, the infected lab guard was also moving outside the village. The big client who was going to buy the pharmaceutical company in the big city full of joy was still wondering why he couldn't contact the company owner. But as soon as he looked at the table, he saw a completely empty box of the life-extending drug. It was clear that the story of the zombie virus was not over here. And this is the end of the movie. We will meet again in a new summary. Thank you for watching.